Hey, fellow psychos, welcome back to We Know You Know. I am one of the co hosts, Barb,
And I'm Matthew.
and today we're going to talk about season 2, episode 8 of Psych. And if you're enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
As always, we got to give a quick shout out to a few people. The first group is our Psych Facebook group, the official Psych fanatics of Facebook. They were really great to us and letting us post in the group, and we got a lot of new fans and subscribers from there. So thank you as always for coming back from the members of that group. And we also joined a new group, the Psych subreddit, and there's tons of people in there, and we got a bunch of new followers from them too. So welcome to the show.
And thanks for being so interactive on Reddit. That's awesome.
Yeah, we get tons of people in the polls and comments and stuff. So yeah, it's great on there.
Mhm.
We also want to let everybody know that we are redo. Today that we're recording is October 6th, and we just heard that the first official trailer for Psych 3, This Is Gus, is going to be dropping this weekend. It's exciting. It will have already happened by the time you guys are listening to this, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. We'll
I
probably
can't
post
wait.
about it. Maybe we can do a little thing where we talk about it. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it like a little thing. I don't know. But I'm super excited that it's coming. It's almost here.
Hmm. It's
I'm
feeling
so
more
excited.
real.
Mhm.
Now that there's a trailer, it feels more real.
Mhm. Yep.
Something to look forward to.
So if you didn't know about it somehow, and you call yourself a psycho, you got to get on it. You got to get on it. All right, go check out
Mhm.
the trailer and let us know what you think. Post in one of our chats. We'll probably post about it or something when it comes out. So glad to hear from you.
Mhm.
We do also have one fan email, and it's actually from a former guest on the show. Wendy. She did a guest spot on the show in the past whenever I wasn't able to make it, and we got an email from her. We love the podcast and the banter. Just want to let you guys know that Sean does talk to himself one more time in season 5 in the Polarizing Express episode. In the episode, he talks to his 12-year-old self. You guys are right about the Henry shirts in this episode as they hit a all-time high in craziness. Keep up the good work. And she is referring to, and down the stretch comes murder. He was in that episode quite a bit, and he had crazy shorts every single time. And then also we were referencing that this was the only episode that young Sean and old Sean actually interact, and she's actually right. They do interact one other time in the Polarizing Express. So nice catch.
Yeah, very nice catch. Thanks, Wendy, for writing in.
And that's all the news that we have today. Barb, what is going on in this episode? Give us some stats here.
All right. This episode is titled Rabba by Baby. It originally aired on September 7th, 2007. It was written by Steve Franks, Tammy Sager, and Andy Berman, and directed by Paul, and I hope I say his name right, Paul Lazarus.
I was going to say Lazarus, like Lazarus Pit, but one of those is
I'm
probably
going with
right.
Paris. I think maybe one of us is right. I'm not sure which one, but anyway, this we are familiar with all these writers. They have all already written on the show. So we're going to talk about Paul Lazarus today. He started directing in 1991 and has done quite a bit of TV directing, including episodes of things like Beverly Hills 90210, LA Law with Corbin Burnson, Melrose Place, Friends, Baywatch, Everybody Loves Raymond, Ugly Betty, The Middle, and most recently is Pretty Little Liars. So he's done a lot of things people are very, very familiar with. So he's pretty seasoned TV director. This was the only episode of Psych that he directed, though. Matt, what happens in this episode? Give us a synopsis.
All right, guys, this week, Sean is less than excited when the chief hires him and Gus to find her a nanny. At the same time, they learn that there has been a string of robberies in her neighborhood, but they are told not to work the case. Sean can't help himself. Jules is upset that Lassie once again will not hear her ideas, so she teams up with Sean to go undercover to solve the case.
Let's just get right into it, right?
Yep,
Break it
let's do it.
Okay, so we start on a flashback from 1987. You have young Sean sitting in the kitchen with Henry, and Sean Sean has asked Henry how babies are made, but you would never know that that's the question he asked because Henry starts talking about like hydraulics and like all sorts of things. And then Sean's like, "So how are babies made? That's I asked you how babies are made." And like Henry just cannot do it. He cannot muster the wherewithal to even answer that question. So he sends him to his mom, which I thought was really funny.
I see. I hate this trope. Of like, like this happened a lot, especially that time. I mean, it still happens sometimes now. The whole thing where like the dad doesn't know how to answer the question of like how babies are made
Mhm.
or where they're from, and it's so overdone. And especially with Henry, I just didn't feel like he would have such a hard time like giving some sort of
Oh,
answer.
I totally thought he would. And
Mm,
because he has trouble with feelings. So
I
he's
did
not
think
Henry doesn't have a good like he doesn't communicate about feelings or love or anything. And so like asking him how a baby is made, he is not going to want to go near that. Like I totally get him not wanting to do that.
I see. I have to disagree. I just feel like he would be just
Mm.
straightforward and have an answer for Sean. It wouldn't be anything like graphic or anything, but I feel like he would have some sort of answer. I don't know. I just thought it was out of character. It felt out of character for me.
I see both sides of this argument, honestly. I really can. I see where you're coming from. I do also just think though that Henry is one of those I don't want to talk about that kind of guy, you know.
Well, I feel like he would say that. Be like, go
Mm,
play with go play with Gus. You know, it's like go to your room. Go do something.
mm,
Um,
I don't know.
I did think it was funny though that whenever he told him to go talk to his mom, he said tuck in your shirt first. And Sean like grabs the front of his shirt and like starts tucking. Like, like is that like, I feel like it's like an old thing that you have to like tuck in your shirt before you go
Yeah,
talk to your
so you
mom.
look presentable. Okay, so after that scene where we're outside of the police station, it's about 55 seconds in. Sean and Gus are on their way. They're walking up to the station. They're excited because the chief has called and she said she had something very important to talk to them about. Now, they go through a whole bunch of scenarios
They're
here of
very
what it could
excited
be
here.
about. Oh yeah, they
I'm
think it's like next
confused
level.
as to
It,
why they're so excited. Like, does the chief never call them? Like, is it always Jules or Lassiter? Well,
well,
it's
I
probably
think it's
never
that she
Lassiter.
said she wanted to specifically talk to them about something very important. So they think she's putting them on some really great assignment. My favorite one though was where Gus says that they're going to go undercover on a yacht.
I like the one where he's like, "I heard something on the news today about a blimp," and then like, and then they like fist bump blimp rides, like, and then he called shotgun. He's like, "You
Yes.
can't call shotgun on a blimp."
Oh,
Yeah,
and
I
let me add here that at 55 seconds, we see our first pineapple of the episode, and it is on Sean's shirt. He's got a polo shirt on with a little, like a logo on
yeah,
the
I
front,
loved it,
and it's a
but
pineapple.
I didn't notice it until the minute 25 mark when they're
Oh,
actually in
okay.
the chief's office talking to chief. I was so enthralled in their conversations about what they could
Yeah.
possibly be hired for. But yeah, so I didn't see that one.
Well, it's nice that we have and there's a little one, and then maybe later there's a big one. Yeah.
But
Anyway.
they get to the chief's office,
Mhm.
and she starts talking to them. She ups the ante on it some more, saying that it's very important and she really needs them.
Mhm.
And then she tells them that she is looking for a nanny. She's not able to sleep, and I think it was her brother was the
What's her
nanny
nephew?
before, and then he went away to school, and she hasn't been able to sleep for like 2 weeks, and you can tell she's exhausted, and she's um what's the word? Not antsy. She's
She's irritable.
irritable. Yes.
Yes.
And one thing she said was like, you can't tell anybody, like it's a secret. And Sean is like, if you knew how many secrets I was keeping from you, you would already know that you could trust me.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a funny thing because she just kind of blows over it, like she barely listened.
Mhm. I will add here that as a parent, I totally get this.
Everybody does
I
except for
have
Sean.
been there. I
Everybody
have
gets it
been
except
there.
for Sean. Henry and Gus are both like, yeah, yeah,
It's
nanny's a very
exhausting.
important.
It's exhausting, and I mean, I was luckily was at home. It's exhausting having babies that don't sleep, because all you want is to sleep, and you just can't. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway,
I get
it
that.
would make anyone irritable, that's all I'm saying. So okay, we find out that the chief wants them to hire her nanny, and then they go back to the psych office, and Gus is reminding this very unhappy Sean. Sean is really bitter about doing this. He's like, I want to be on a case, an actual case. I don't want to be hiring a nanny. And Gus is trying to remind him that if they don't do a good job here, they need to stay on her good side because that's where their work comes from. So this is important. And like he says, nannies are essential parts of today's working nuclear families. I
Yeah,
love how
that's
serious Gus
very
got about
much
it.
a Gus thing.
He got so serious about it. It was funny. Anyway, so then Sean has a good idea to steal a nanny from someone instead of trying to find one that's not working. Let's steal one that's already good. So let's go to the park.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. He did also make
Mhm.
a joke here whenever he was coming up with that idea about how he made Sean made Gus a Match.com profile in secret, and then he put on there that he was only looking for women that were strong enough to hold him. It's just such a weird detail. Like, that's another one of those times where I would love to be like in the writing room or on set and be like, who came up with that? It happens again in this episode. There's another funny like quote from this episode. Um, and I'm so curious is like who came up with how like ridiculous of a line that is?
Some of it could even have been improv. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It definitely could have. The other one I don't know about because it wasn't a main character. It was a
Mm.
supporting role, but I don't know. I'm curious.
Okay, so they're in the park. We're at about 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and they are creepy at the park.
Oh, it's awkward. Oh,
It
yeah,
is
it's
very
awkward.
it's not right. It's really not right. Gus is offering a little girl candy. By the way, why do they put Sean in these sunglasses? The sunglasses he has on they're horrible.
I've mentioned this before, and
Yes.
you said that it wasn't bad.
Well, I don't know. The more I see him in them, I'm just like, they're really weird looking. They're not a good shape for his face. It's not
Well,
right.
anybody else who cares to take a gander at these sunglasses and wants to comment, I have posted a poll on Facebook and Reddit like literally 5 minutes ago before starting the recording of this episode.
Mhm.
So go ahead and select what you think about Sean's sunglasses. I don't think they fit him at all.
Mm-mm.
Not as far as like
I
size
think
goes, but I mean as far as like style and look. They just something about the shape of them
well,
and the
and it's
color
also
looks
that
weird.
you can still see his eyes so clearly through them.
Mhm.
It's very odd looking. I don't know.
Well,
I
Sean's
don't
character
care
is
for
very
them.
emotive. I mean, it is
Yeah.
possible that they gave him those so that they could still see his eyes. It's like kind of like the whole Deadpool thing, how they had to really
I don't
animate the
know.
eyes in some way. But yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I just know I don't love them. But anyway, at the park, Sean does overhear some of the nannies because Gus is like, he gets up to walk away, and Sean overhears a couple of the nannies talking about some robberies that are happening in the area. And Sean very quickly takes an opportunity to pretend that he's a manny and I don't know, and try and get more information because, of course, he wants a real case. He doesn't want to be hiring a nanny. He wants a case. At the same time, Gus is so creepy here.
Hmm.
He
Well,
is
when Sean's
talking
go ahead.
he is talking to this other nanny at the park, and he's just saying all these weird things about, like he's like, "No, I don't have a kid here," and, like, just weird. Like, I get why she was totally creeped out by him.
And she was like scared. Like if you
Yeah.
saw her face, she was like
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think he even said to her, "Do you spank?"
Oh yeah.
It was like, "Really?"
Yeah, completely like out of context. Yeah,
'Cause
he
nobody could
wasn't
tell that he
doing
was looking for a nanny.
right. He wasn't doing a good enough job with the first part of his task, which
There should
was
have been some
telling people.
backstory. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we did also find out from Sean that all of the houses that were uh, robbed had security systems, as well as and the robberies also happened during the day,
Mhm.
which is a little bit weird, and that's what made one of the other nannies uncomfortable. This was it was one of the women that he was talking to when he was pretending to be the Manning. There was a scene where like they both of them would like occasionally yell out at the kids like to let other people go on the slide or be nice to your
Mhm.
sister. And one of the things that she said was, "Wyoming, get your foot out of that dog." This is the line that I was talking about. Like, who came up with this? It's so weird. Like a couple minutes, like a couple seconds beforehand, there was a dog like barking.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, those sound effects are, I would assume, are like added in post. So I don't know. I'm so curious about some of these.
Well, at 9 minutes, Gus comes over. They're the two guys are talking again, and Gus thinks he must smell bad because the nannies and the kids won't talk to him. And Sean says, "No, it's kind of your normal smell, jerk mix of jerk chicken and new car smell."
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Sean is like so excited about the robberies. He's telling Gus he wants to do this, and then our favorite cop, Buzz McNabb, shows up and says he got a call about two creepy dudes hanging around the park, and they didn't realize at first that it was them.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause Sean or Gus was like, "Oh yeah, we'll let you know if we see anybody." And then Sean was
Mhm.
saying like, he was like, "Oh yeah, we've just been like looking at things through like bushes and creeping around the trees or something."
And then it was like, "Oh
And
yeah,
then McNabb gives him a look like, yeah."
that's what we're talking about. That's the creepy." That's funny.
I still love
So
all of McNabb's scenes so much more now.
I know. Me too. Next we see them leaving and McNabb tells them, "Hey, I can drive you wherever you want to go." And just as he's saying that, he gets a call about another robbery. And Sean is like, "There, that's where we want to ride to. We want to go there." And then they fight over the front seat.
Yeah, they ride together, like fighting and pushing each other the entire time, and McNabb
Poor
is just chill.
poor McNabb.
Yeah, he's just chill. He's just like, "Ah, you guys, like."
He's like, "Whatever." They get to the crime scene, they're walking around the house, they're wheeling a dead body out. So this robbery is not just a robbery, it's a murder too. And so they go walking through the house and find out the room that it was in, and just they're like in the closet and they see that Chief Vic is there. I loved this part. They duck down and start walking kind of like gorillas, and
Like,
Sean
yeah,
goes,
yeah.
"I think walking like this makes everything more exciting."
Well, another thing that happened in this was when they inspected the body, they they tied this to the robberies that they heard about. They what they expect was that the guy came home unexpectedly, caught the
Mhm.
robber, and then the robber decided to murder him. So this is where they tie it in, and Sean's like, "Oh wait, this could be something for me to ride with," which leads to his
Yeah.
first like run in with the chief.
Yes. So at the station, the chief is pushing them to find her a nanny. She's like excited, "Did you find me someone?" They actually end up telling her they've narrowed it down to 3 candidates. Anyway, she's very adamant.
Oh no, yeah, she's upset.
Yeah. I mean, she is adamant that they not work the case.
Hmm.
She's like, this is your priority. I have hired you for this. This is what you're going to do." Anyway, Sean still wants to pursue this case. Gus does not. He says, "I'm leaving." Sean says, "Let me just say a quick hello." And he ends up taking some pictures on his phone of the evidence that
We sees
Lassie
Lassie and
and
Juliet like having
Juliet's
like a little
looking.
team huddle, and
Yeah.
everybody's kind of focused on that. So he goes in to try and get some info. And he has
Like
his little flip phone like around the pillar, and he's like pretending to make an order like for pizza.
for pizza. He's like, "You guys want anything?" So he took his little pictures and he goes back to the psych office where Gus has been interviewing 3 nanny candidates. Sean walks in, and in all of 5 minutes, he shuts them all down. He's
Not
like,
even
"Oh,
like
yeah, I mean, it was quick."
45 seconds.
Yeah. And he goes around the room. He's like, "No, you can let them all leave. Slob, psycho, slut."
Hmm. Yeah, the slob was smelling her own armpits. The psycho Which actually I thought this was another interesting little thing. The psycho is Gus was like, "What's wrong with her?" And he's like, "She's been writing in her journal the entire time." And he's like, maybe she's creative." And he's like, "It's the same sentence over and over again." And I promise you, there's no configuration of words that makes that okay. And then the last one was just someone that he thought was cute, but then he noticed that she was reading a bridal magazine and had a bunch of like tabs in it, and that she was planning a wedding and was going to wind up being too busy to really focus on the kid. And then they'd
Mhm.
have to go through this whole process again. So
I like
Gus
when
is
he tells
annoyed.
them to leave. I like when he tells them to leave and he says, "Don't drive angry."
Don't drive angry.
Don't drive angry. So Sean would really rather be working the robbery case. He shows the pictures that he took on his phone of the homes that were robbed to Gus, and then he makes the connection between the robbed homes and the StarTech security company. So he kind of realizes, hey, there's something going on there. So now his next avenue here is to go to the security office. And when he gets there, he finds Lassie and Jules already there.
So this security office has a theme. It's called Star Tech, and that is obviously very close to Star Wars.
No.
No, I'm just messing with you. Star Trek. Uh, so it's, Lassie and Jules are already there talking to the guys, and Lassie has kind of got a little thing going on with one of these employees, who's really being a bit of a bit of a like he's giving Lassie problems,
Yeah.
and then we see Sean come in, and I love their theme. They're really laying into the Star Trek thing, and because their whole like command center there is set up like the inside of a spaceship almost. They have the monitors in all the walls, and they're beeping and flashing lights and stuff. And then the doors are slide open automatic doors that kind of have like their emblem in the center that like closes into the cutout of it on the other side of the door. Like it looks like an old timey like spaceship from an old show. And when Sean comes in, he's talking to one of the extras, and he's like, "For the last time, I told you, yes, I am second in command, but no, my name is not Spock." And then Sean's like, "You're gonna have to go talk to Bones about that one." Like,
Mhm.
I did like that. Plus, this is exciting for me because this character is played by D. Harlan Cutshaw, who is also Stargate Atlantis alumni. Wasn't
Matthew
like a
loves
super main
Stargate
role,
Atlantis.
but he was one of the guys in the gate room in Atlantis. So, yeah, just a little thing, just a little thing.
Matthew has Stargate and I have Hallmark.
I
We're
would love
bringing
to do
we're bringing
Stargate
lots of
podcast. You know,
we're bringing lots of points of view to the table here.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Gus will not let Sean okay, let's back up. He doesn't get very much information at StarTech.
Mhm.
So he's talking to Gus and wants to use the car so that he can drive around and look at these homes. He wants to see them all firsthand. And Gus won't let him use the car. He says no. And so he tells Gus, I'm a grown man. I don't need to depend on others to drive me around. And the next shot is of him in Henry's truck and Henry's driving him around, which was really funny. And he tells Henry that he's looking for his Kinkajou that he named Red Hot Monkey Love. And Henry, of course, is wise to this and he knows that there's more going on. So finally, Sean tells him, take, okay, I'm trying to see these homes that were robbed. And Henry is kind of on board with that. And they pull up in front of the house. And anyway, Henry does his Sean, look at this kind of thing.
Mhm. He points out some stuff that was kind of obvious. When they're in the neighborhood and they're looking around at all the houses that were robbed, and they notice that like these were not like random encounters. These weren't like robbed by chance. These houses were chosen. And they can tell
And
this
they
because all the
yeah.
houses around them, all the surrounding houses, are obviously easier targets, whether they're placed in positions behind large hedges or hidden from the main road by trees. I mean, even like the one that was robbed not only had a sign for a security system on it, but it also had bars on the window and it had no obstructions in the front of it. It definitely would have been a more difficult target if somebody was just driving around looking for, a rich
Mhm.
house to get into. That was one
Yeah.
thing they mentioned before was their original thought was that somebody at StarTech was robbing the places that they were supposed to protect, but they're kind of falling out of that theory now.
Right. Also at this location, one of the nannies is leaving one of the houses, and Sean notices that she's wearing Coach sunglasses. So he asks Henry, "Should a nanny be able to afford Coach sunglasses?" And Henry says, "Nannies are criminally underpaid because children are maddening hellions." And he wishes he had had a nanny when Sean was a kid.
Yeah, we also find out that he watches Nanny 911. Yeah, we find out that Henry loves watching these TV shows that Sean just does not
Uh-huh.
expect. That like at one point he mentions like he watches Queer Eye, and then another point he
Uh-huh.
mentions that he watches like well I guess some of those like home makeover ones he probably would be into,
Yeah.
but yeah, we constantly find out shows and things that Henry's interested in that are not what Sean would expect.
No,
Oh,
not at
there
all.
was a Highlander reference here. You had
Mhm.
to have seen it. I don't know if you notated it.
I did.
You did? Okay. All right. Just
I mean, I notated it
had to
in
make sure.
80s references.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. You mean the correct place it was supposed to be notated? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you calling me out? Okay. All
No,
right.
no,
Well,
no. No, I want you to know it's not in my
yeah.
notes up here, but it is noted.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Did you want to talk about this one?
No, no, no. If you got it, you're good.
Okay, I got it.
Mm.
We're up there.
Well, you go into the details about the stuff. Okay. So,
Yeah.
in this scene, we do also get a moment where Sean references Highlander. He does there can only be one, and then Henry gives him like a look, and then he goes to Connery, and then Henry's like, everybody can do Connery, but your Lampier sucks. Like, and then he just leaves him, and Sean is just like sad face. Mm,
I like their interaction.
yeah,
At 21 minutes and 40 seconds, Sean is bursting into the chief's office. He is telling her that he has had a vision about rings of nannies and trying to tell her that the nanny ring is robbing the houses. And she looks pretty creepy the whole time he's in there, right? Like she's just sitting there with her head in her hand and her eyes wide open. And
yeah.
he finally puts together that something's not right there. And she wakes up. She was sleeping with her eyes open and said that's something she learned to do on Steakhouse.
Oh yeah, no, she had him nervous too. Like it looked like he was like, she's waiting for me to say something interesting. All right, I got to keep trying. I got to keep trying. What am I gonna say that's gonna make
Yeah.
her interested? And then she wakes up, and he's like, "Holy crap, that was creepy."
Sean starts pitching her again about the nanny thing. And she's not having it. She is
I'm not
so,
having it anymore. Like personally,
yeah.
I was getting annoyed that he keeps doing it, and like, dude,
Yeah.
just finish the job.
Exactly. Why do
Just
you keep having
finish
to
it.
go to her about it? Just do it. And she got so upset though that she fired him. She
Mhm.
said, "No more. You don't have to get the nanny. You don't have to do anything." So now they're gonna have to backtrack.
It was a
And
good
Gus is
scene.
not gonna be happy.
It was a good scene because
Mhm.
yeah, he was like from the nanny case or from the babysitter case, and she's just like everything, all of it. And Sean's face is like, oh no 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 no,
Uh-huh.
backtrack backtrack.
Uh-huh. Because he should have just done it. He's so many episodes before, without them even knowing that he's working a case, he works a
Yeah.
case. So
Hmm.
why was this any different? Why did he need to keep going to her about it, knowing how irritable she was at the time? I don't know. I didn't get
Yeah.
why he kept pressing. But he does go back to the psych office and Gus is mad at him now. Sean says that they're going to be renegades. Gus will find the nanny, and Sean will find the killer and the robbers, and the chief will love them again. So Sean wants Gus to go undercover as a co-parent with him to hire a nanny at the agency.
This is
And
my
Gus
two
says
dad
no.
style.
Yeah, my two dad style, which we'll talk about too. Sean needs a partner here. And he did exactly what I wanted him to do, Matt. He did exactly what I wanted him to do. He found
I
Jules.
knew you loved this scene. Oh god.
This scene was so good. He finds Jules. She's getting a pastry. She's very irritated with Lassie because he won't listen to her ideas. He doesn't want to hear what she has to say about this case. And it's frustrating for her. And I get that. I get that sometimes when men don't value what you say, you just want to smack them. And Lassie can really be like that. So Sean, right in the middle of this little cafe thing, they're outside, and there's all these people at the tables. He tells her we need to go undercover to do this, and then he gets down on his knee and he says, "Juliet, will you marry me?" It was so sweet. He told her that he had had a dream about it, and that or a vision, and that maybe it was just their future. And I was like, oh, so cute.
Well,
I
no,
just love them
specifically,
together.
yeah, specifically, it was like, you know what? To tell the truth, I had a vision of us being married, but yeah, it was probably just us working this case together undercover. But you don't know. But who knows?
Maybe it's our future. It was so sweet. I just
Yeah,
love them together so much. I
and then
can't.
and then he says, "She said yes, everybody. She loves
Uh-huh.
me so much." Really playing it up. Mm.
I love it. Meanwhile, Gus is interviewing nannies while all this is going on, and the song 99 Red Balloons for the Red Balloon Agency is playing in the background. And it's like this little montage of him interviewing people, and I thought it was a cute little montage. But
It's just a bunch of
yeah,
just terrible, terrible people.
awful choices. Awful.
Mm.
Jules and Sean, though, she's agreed to go undercover with him.
We're like 27
And
minutes in at this point. Mhm.
yes,
Yeah, we're
yes.
we're we're deep in.
And she has told him that she has pictured a whole wedding. And she starts
Yeah,
talking about it and doesn't stop talking about it. And he clearly, did you see him when they get to the agency and they're waiting to talk to the lady? And she is going on and on about this wedding, and she's like, and I'll walk down the aisle to James Taylor's The One, and goes on, and Sean's face is like, dear God, make her shut up.
yeah.
When the lady calls them and says it's time to go, he jumps up and runs, like gets as far away from her as he can right then. It was terrible. I was not happy about that. I
We
felt
got to
like,
see like girly Jules though, because
yeah.
she gets her attitude kind of changes, and she turns into how she was when she was Miss Baumgartner in the Scary Sherry episode.
Yes. They meet Abby Daniels, who is the director of this agency. And she offers to give them a little tour. And they go into a second room. She shows them this room where this guy is, and he's like a person that installs cameras in the homes where the nannies are. And they say that it's so that you can check on your child all throughout the day. You're the only people that will see this, and you can
And
stay connected to your
incentivizes
kid.
it also incentivizes the nannies to not do anything, wrong,
Right.
because they could be watched at any time. But
Hmm.
Sean does use this opportunity while they're all in the room together to
And
use
Jules is talking to
Juliet's
them.
yeah, Juliet's ability to talk incessantly about the wedding, and he dismisses himself to the restroom, and then he ends up sneaking into the file room where where he could look up the old employee who had those Coach sunglasses on, and we find out there that that was her old job was at the Coach, you know, uh, that her
Coach
old job
store.
was working at the Coach company. So she probably got those for like a sweet deal.
Yeah.
She got a nice discount. So she's probably not rolling in the cash.
Hmm. At this point, we're at 32 minutes. Jules gets a call from Lassie, and he wants them to meet, or wants her, not Sean, but wants her to meet him at the pawn shop. And so they show up there. This pawn shop is where they have located some of the merchandise that has been stolen from the homes that have been robbed. And they're talking to the guy in the pawn shop about who brought the stuff in. And Sean happens to notice that in the trash can there is a spit cup from chewing tobacco. And when they were at the nanny agency, the guy who installed the cameras put chewing tobacco in his pocket. So he knew that he did that and that there might be some sort of connection there. Okay, so yeah, but I like how they figured it out. Was he like this and he makes like a puffy face, and was
Hmm.
his face red? And yeah, it was kind of a cute way to deduce that, but they did figure out that it was the guy from the nanny agency.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Gus now is very proud of himself because he says he has found the chief and nanny, but she works for the Red Balloon agency, which is not good because now Sean knows what's going on through them.
Yeah. Little fun fact that during Gus's little interview with that nanny, her name is Patricia Isaac, the actress, and I thought it was funny that in the like credits, her role is called Perfect Nanny. That is funny. And there's also one for Bad Nanny. So yeah, they really were.
Mhm.
It reminds me of when we had that interview with Sage, where he was like, "Yeah, they just kind of give names to things, and they
Yeah.
just have like, I was dancing cop." Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So it's interesting. Although I did like her, and for a little bit there, whenever I first saw her, I thought that it could have been cool for that to be a love interest for Gus, even if it was short lived. I saw like something maybe like maybe something, but
Mm.
I'm always hopeful for Gus.
I
Although
know.
I dislike most of the people he pops up with,
Ugh,
um,
right.
except for the girl, except for the Daredevil, the Adrenaline episode.
Oh,
That
yeah, yeah,
girl,
yeah.
I love that girl. She's
Yeah.
great in like everything that I've seen her in. She's great in there,
Yeah.
and I loved how she was with Gus. Although we're
I
really
didn't
getting
like
off
the
topic.
Mira episode. There's
Well,
something
that's
about
because
Mira.
Mira is dreadfully
Oh,
boring, like, or
just
she's like
awful.
dreadfully
It's
annoying.
awful.
Hmm.
Awful. Anyway, okay, so we're getting off topic here, but
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I
okay.
thought that that could have been a nice little love interest, even if it was
Mhm.
would be short lived. If it was just for an episode or two.
Yeah.
And even if she did end up being a nanny for the chief and then they like broke up or something, like immediately, then it was just kind of weird anytime they came around. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Matthew's just written an alternate ending to the story, you guys.
I this story just didn't quite grab me as much. I was thinking about other stuff.
All right, so we're now at about 33 minutes in. Sean and Gus are walking back to the nanny agency. Sean feels like he needs more information, and Gus really can't figure out why. He's like, I don't know why you need more. We know you did it. We know, all this. And Sean's like, okay, because I'm the one that has to like give the summary here. I'm the psychic. I got to tell them what's going on. I need all the information. So they go back into the nanny agency, and the receptionist is there, and Sean introduces Gus as his best friend, Shmuel Cohen.
I don't know what that is.
He made it up. This
Yeah,
is
he
the
just
best
made it up. No,
nickname.
no references. It's
This is
just
the
the name.
best nickname. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So
Definitely not my
anyway, they
favorite. I forgot that that one even existed.
no. Yeah, me too. That's why I was
Hmm.
kind of surprised when I heard it. I was like, oh wow. Didn't even think about Shmuel.
Hmm.
So they annoy the receptionist enough that she says, why don't you go wait in the director's office? That's when they discover the wall of monitors that has feeds to all these clients' homes in the director's office.
That's
So they
hidden behind a
Mhm,
shelf, like in a Clue game, that you have to like turn the trophy, and then the wall slides open, and there's a bunch of it. She's like a Bond
mhm.
villain. Um. So yeah, yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. And
and from there, they can direct the cameras wherever they want to move them to.
right, and Gus, he has the idea that they're spying on the owners of the houses that they are um putting people into, but they're not actually doing that, and that's what Sean figures out next.
Mhm. He
because they find
figures
out that
out.
none of the people that they actually have nannies in, none of those houses were actually robbed. And then he thinks
Mhm,
back and he figures out that it was all the houses like next door to these.
mhm, and they were directing the cameras to face areas where the keypads were for their security system
Hmm.
so that they could get the numbers of their security system.
Yeah.
Yeah, their codes. Not cool. Not cool. But Sean figures it out. He calls Jules to meet them at the chief's house where the new nanny is with the chief. And it's actually the director and the camera guy are there. And so they get to the house, and I love this. Sean's like, "Where's your baby gift?" And Lassiter gives her I
A
oh my
steering
gosh.
wheel lock.
Yes, it was the red, there was a name for it. Was really popular. I had one back in the day. The steering, he gives her a steering wheel lock. I forget what it was called, but yeah, that was it's like here's this. And then Jules gives her Tic Tacs. It's a rattle that also freshens your breath.
No, it's a low calorie breath mint.
Yeah. And
And
then we see
then,
the second pineapple.
yeah, Sean gives her a pineapple. Gus gives her a stuffed animal. Kind of
Oh.
surprised they didn't have a couple's gift there, just coming in together, you know. But
Since they were recently married, you know.
yeah. Well, I was talking about Gus and Sean. So in this scene, this is pretty near the end. We're at 38 minutes in, and they are in the living room, and that's when the two the one guy, the technician, comes down and says that he's finished installing the cameras, as well as the director woman comes down and she has put down the baby and the baby's asleep, which is exceedingly exciting for Chief Vic. Like, she looks like she's about to cry. Like, she's so happy that the baby's asleep.
Mhm.
And this is when everything kind of falls apart because the director sees Sean, who she knows as Levon,
Mhm.
and Juliet's husband, and she's confused. And then Sean breaks out into a psychic episode. And this is actually a pretty interesting one. He picks up one of the stuffed animals off the mantle, and he starts like the stuffed animals talking to him, kind of like what he did in Poker I Barely Know Her with the chips.
Mhm.
And he's like the monkey only wants to play pull my finger. The was it the turtle is a alien. Like, he just has like some funny little lines for the other toys, and then he notices and points out the camera, which Lassiter recognizes whenever he takes a better look at it as a military grade camera, and it's valued at like $10,000.
Yeah,
So
really
this is
expensive.
serious hardware for a quote unquote nanny cam.
Mhm.
And that's when Sean does his wrap up. The two of them would essentially put these cameras in. They would look around for houses nearby. They would record and write down the keypad numbers and try and figure out where they stored stuff. And then they'd go back in later and rob them. And there's not really too much of a trail since they're not in the houses of the people. And then there's also no, if they
Mhm.
know the codes, there's no really problem for them.
Did you notice that we got to see them address Lassie's shoulder? Because he's still in the sling in this episode. And when he's
Yes.
getting down from the ladder, he's like, "Oh," like, it's like that's
Mhm.
they addressed it again a little
Well,
bit.
that was probably
Yeah,
a real twinge.
possibly.
But that also brings up another point is during the wrap up, it was actually kind of an interesting dynamic because everybody was trying to be quiet, and it put these weird like stakes on it. Like,
Mhm.
everybody was trying to be quiet. Even the bad guys were like whispering, and Sean at one point like walked on through the minefield of baby toys and like set off every toy, but it ended up being Laster who woke up the baby. And it was when he talked to the guy and he's like, "Anybody ever tell you look like a puffer fish?" And that's when the baby woke up. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, they end the episode at the park again, where we see Sean and Gus talking about the chief's nephew who is coming back in 2 weeks. He's going to take care of the baby again, so Chief Vic's really happy. And then we look over and because he says, "Well, what is she going to do in the meantime?" And Sean's got like, I got this covered. I found somebody." And we see that the baby is with Henry. And Sean has only told him that he's gonna have her for 5 minutes. And He's, like, surrounded by the nannies. It's just that was a cute scene.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was a very cute scene. I like the way that they undid it a bit.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
it was
Matt
a cute way to end it.
mhm. So, Matt, what did you think about this episode?
I was really torn on this one. Um,
Mhm.
well, I wasn't. I was torn on the rating, not how I feel about it.
Okay.
I don't like this episode. I it feels like it has a like a negative undertone the entire time between Sean and the Chief, between Lassiter and Jules, and the Chief and Lassiter, and between Sean and Gus at some points whenever Gus is upset at him for not just focusing on the case. And I don't know, like I also didn't think that the case was that interesting. Like if we had like all the information from the beginning, I felt like it would have been very obvious, but they
Mhm.
kind of like spoon fed us information. I don't know. I just wasn't that interested in the case. I didn't really care about the background story because I don't know. Maybe it's also now because we never see Chief's kid again. Like we never really get into the
Ooh,
Chief's life.
until the movie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't really care.
How many
I just didn't
pineapples?
really care about it. I put 3 when I finished watching it,
Mhm.
and then when I like said I was done, I was thinking back and I was like, I just didn't like that episode. So I knocked it down to 2.
Okay.
And this last like couple minutes, I've been thinking about like is too much. Like I'm
Wow.
thinking back about the other episodes that I gave
Wow.
1 star or 1 pineapple to and 2 pineapples to. I mean, Sean versus the Red Phantom. I'm looking at it now. 9 lives. I gave both of those 2 pineapples, and
You like this one less than those.
I think so.
Okay.
Um, I mean, is it as bad as Psy versus Psy? That's the real question.
Mm, maybe it's about level for
I
you,
think I
but
like Psy
I don't
versus
know.
Psy more because
Okay.
I at least thought Ewing's case was interesting or Ewing's
So are
character
you
was
gonna go
interesting.
1
I
pineapple
think I'm
here?
going 1 pineapple. I think this is my
Okay.
first. Oh no, it's not. I gave Psy versus Psy 1 pineapple. So yeah, this is
Okay.
my second 1 pineapple. Like the
So,
first season,
okay.
I gave out 2. So you know,
I'm kinda okay, I have feelings about this episode. So, I really didn't love it or hate it. There were some funny parts, but not a lot. And what saved this one for me was the Sean Jules moments. You know I love those. That to me, that brought me a lot of joy in this episode. I also liked the Henry humor a little bit here. Henry was pretty easygoing in this one. I kind of liked that, but I originally said 3 and I kind of want to back it to 2 and I'll
so
feel comfortable there.
here's our thing.
So,
2, not a fan, but I'll watch it
yeah.
because I love the cast.
Right.
And 1 is skip it. And
Yeah.
honestly, I would skip this one.
Yeah, no, I like the Sean Jules moments. So I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say 2
Okay.
pineapples. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Notated.
Okay. Did you have a yeah moment in this episode?
I did have an all yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, it wasn't an all yeah. I had a come on, son.
Okay.
I
Well,
did not have an all yeah moment in this episode.
I did. My oh yeah moment was when Sean proposed to Jules. I loved it.
I should have seen that one
Yes.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you should have. And I know that that's a predictable answer from me, but I just really enjoy those moments with them. I really do.
Hmm.
I did not have a come on son moment. What was your come on son moment?
Even though I kind of agreed with it, it was still a come on, son moment. When the chief fires when Chief Vic fires Sean and
Yeah, that's a good
Psych.
one.
Yeah, that one was a come on, son moment. Even though it's it was justified. Still,
That's a good one. That's a very good one, actually.
I did
I
not have a wait for it though,
I
because
didn't
again, I
either.
just didn't care.
Nothing was that exciting.
No, it just was
Yeah,
felt it even felt like a fast episode. Like I felt like we just kind of like walked through the whole thing.
yeah. So what about Henry lessons? The only thing I sort of got was like, look at the big picture.
See, I can't use that one because he's already done that. Like, I
Well,
don't like reusing them, so I don't think he has
okay, okay.
like, he kinda helped him piece some stuff together and, like,
Mhm.
pointed out the obvious stuff, but
And he
there really
certainly
wasn't
didn't teach him where babies came from.
yeah. So,
That wasn't his lesson.
alright, Barb, it's your moment.
Okay, here we go, guys. Put your
The,
seatbelts on. We've got some 80s
references
references,
and '80s
and
guest
there are a
stars.
lot of them. So here we go. The first one was the movie Big. This was a popular movie from 1988 starring Tom Hanks. He makes a wish and wakes up as an adult, and really, really cute movie. Very good. Top Secret, another movie from the 80s, was from 1984. It was a parody movie starring Val Kilmer. He played a rock singer that becomes involved in a plot to rescue an imprisoned scientist in Germany. On the playground, Sean called out to Perry and Luke as kids, and that was a reference to the late Luke Perry, who starred on Beverly Hills 90210 and the 90s movie 8
Hmm,
Seconds, and many,
interesting.
many other things, Riverdale, and lots of other things. The next reference is Jackie Earl Haley. This was an actor and director. You would know him from 80s hits like Love Boat, MacGyver, Murder, She Wrote, and the Bad News Bears movies that were made in the 70s. He later went on in the most recent Nightmare on Elm Street movie. He was in that. The most recent one was in the 2000s at some point.
I do not watch those, so
I don't either, so that was
mhm,
kind of I just threw it in there because a lot of people do.
yeah.
The next reference was to Bad News Bears. That was a 1976 movie that had several sequels, and it starred Walter Matthau. It was about a baseball team of kids. They talked about Breaking Away, which was a TV show that ran from 1980 to 1981 and starred Sean Cassidy. It was about four young people living in an apartment. And anyway, Sean Cassidy was kind of a big deal back then, Matt. I know you probably don't know who he is, but he was a Hardy Boy.
The name sounds so familiar, I'm trying to place it, and I just can't see a face.
He was one of the Hardy Boys, and he was a cutie pie. He was very cute. Your mom used to like him a lot. And so then we get to the Star Trek references. So we reference Spock, which was a character from Star Trek played by Leonard Nimoy. There was a Bones reference, which was also from Star Trek, not the show Bones. There was a character played by DeForest Kelly. And then Star Trek was a sci-fi series and movies that originated in 1966. It has seen many iterations and is still extremely popular today. There has a whole group of fans called Trekkies, and everybody knows that already. The
Hey,
next
Barb, thanks for
reference,
telling us what Star Trek is.
I know. I mean, I'm just trying to be thorough. Just trying to be thorough. There might be a young person out there listening that doesn't know it all, you know.
Okay.
The next reference that I thought was funny, and I looked it up, it wasn't necessarily 80s, but for some reason I was thinking it was a toy, but it's for the Kinkajou. Kinkajou is an exotic pet, also known as a honey bear. It's friendly, playful animal. Usually they live in trees and have very long gripping tails. It's a native of rainforests in South and Central America. You can buy one for anywhere from $700 to $3,500. And Paris Hilton has one as a pet, interestingly enough. Next, we move on to Dermot Mulrooney. He's an actor that got his start in the 80s. He was in movies like Young Guns and Staying Together, and went on to star in some really big 90s hits like My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz in 1997, Copycat with Sigourney Weaver in 1995, and in 1994, Angels in the Outfield. He also played Rachel's nemesis slash love interest at one point on Friends, and he was in 3 episodes in that little arc that he was in. And he's currently in The Prodigal Son and the series Hannah, and he's got so many upcoming projects. I can't even list them. Like he has a long list of things that he's working on right now. Very, 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 very busy right now. Next, we reference Highlander, which was a TV series that ran from 1992 to 1998 about an immortal living in modern society fighting other immortals. Lambert. There were a few options, but I believe that they are talking about Paul Lambert from the original Planet of the Apes in 1968. He was also on Star Trek: The Next Generation and many other 80s shows,
Was he on
including
Highlander?
um maybe. I
I
don't
thought
know.
that they were both on Highlander because he said because Lampere.
I don't I
I'm pretty
didn't
sure he was.
see that. Maybe I just missed it though. I'm not sure. I can check it and maybe let you know by the end of the episode, but um he was on Corbin's show, LA Law, which, by the way, I just read that they are bringing back. I'm wondering if Corbin is going to be part of it. The only one who's signed on so far is Blair Underwood. So we'll have to see what they're doing with that, if it's going to be something that Corbin goes into. Um, Matlock, Night Court, he was on all kinds of shows in the 80s. Next is Sean Connery. He was the original James Bond, did 7 films, and is known for his accent. He had an extremely successful career, although we haven't seen him in anything since 2012. I think he's kind of retired now. But he's known for The Rock, Entrapment, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and The Hunt for Red October. They're just a few of his really big hits. A lot more than that, but we don't have time to list them all. Nanny 911 ran from 2004 to 2008, was a TV series where nannies get out of control kids under control. Then Dog Whisperer started in 2004. It was a series with Cesar Millan. He teaches people to train and understand their dogs. Next are Aykroyds and Belushis. This is referring to Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. Dan Aykroyd started on Saturday Night Live. He has had a great career, very, very long career. Movies like Neighbors in 1981 that he did with John Belushi, Ghostbusters in 84, Dragnet in 87, Trading Places and Dr. Detroit in 83, The Great Outdoors in 88 with John Candy, My Girl 1991, 51st Dates. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. He's done so many things. He's had a great career as a writer and an actor and is still working. He just finished the new Ghostbusters movie as well. John Belushi, also an SNL alumni, um, joined SNL in 1975 and starred in hit classics like Animal House in 1978, Blues Brothers in 1980, and his last movie that he made was Neighbors in 1981 with Dan Aykroyd. He sadly died March 5th, 1982, of a heroin and cocaine overdose. Very, very sad. Neighbors was that movie. They referred to that as well, 1981 movie. My Two Dads is referenced. That was a TV series about two guys that had both dated the same girl. That girl died and left her daughter to them to care for. They didn't know who was the real father, but it was one of them. And they raised her. It was on from 1987 to 1990. Starred Paul Reiser, who later went on to Mad About You. And
It's an
our
interesting
next
concept.
reference, yeah, it was a
I
good
mean, it
show.
seems like
Uh,
a paternity test though could resolve
okay, but
that
you have to
issue.
remember this was 1987.
Okay, that's true. Okay,
This
I'm
wasn't
sure
like,
now they're like, oh my god, oh if only
yeah,
now.
we were still waiting for like Maury to start doing his, Maury Povich to start doing his episodes paternity and all this. None of that had even happened yet at this point. This is like way back there.
Yeah,
Um, it also starred our next reference, Greg Evigan. This is where Sean tells him, "I was gonna let you play Greg Evigan." Um, he's an actor that has worked consistently from the 80s, even had a stint on General Hospital and many guest roles on TV shows. He's still working now on a Christmas movie. So he's had a pretty long career, guest starred on a lot of things. 99 Red Balloons. This is a song by the singer Nina. It came out in 1984. This video played incessantly on MTV. And they would go back and forth between the English version and the German version. And it drove me nuts. I hated this song back then. I can tolerate it now, but I really hated it then. Then we go to James Taylor's Only One. It was a 1985 a song released in 1985 by the folk singer that is best known for You've Got a Friend. The Kool-Aid Guy. The 80s was when that was like such a popular thing, the Kool-Aid Guy. And he was in all the commercials, big pitcher of Kool-Aid.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes. Philip Glass, he's a famous composer, composed for many movies and shows dating back to 1968. Candyman in 88, The Truman Show in 99. There's a couple you might know him from. And then the last reference is Denise Richards as Christmas Jones in a Bond movie. So in 1999, she played this character in the Bond film The World Is Not Enough with Pierce Brosnan.
Wow. That was an extensive run. Um,
Yeah.
wow. Congratulations on that, Barb. You nailed it.
I feel like I'm doing like an hour worth
You
of
did the
research.
you put the cherry on top there.
Right, right, right. But I will say I noticed that they're doing so many like I maybe they've recognized that that's some like at this point they had recognized people like the 80s element,
Hmm.
and maybe they just started like throwing them in everywhere. It's there's a ton of them, but anyway, and I know some of them aren't 80s, some of them are honestly just things I'm curious about or like think should be kind of highlighted, but
Hmm.
like the Denise Richards one, that's was 1999. I mean, I get it that it's not
Well, no, no. I mean, I think it's kind
80s,
of
but
evolved from '80s references to just references
pop
from
culture.
different times, pop
Yeah.
culture
Yeah.
references. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but we had two pineapples this time. You caught the first one. Well, I mean, they weren't too hidden. Weren't hidden
No.
too well. The first one was on Sean's shirt right at the beginning, and it was a little emblem. And then we got the baby gift from Sean to the chief at the end.
Yeah. And then
Um,
we had our
yeah.
Gus nickname.
Shmuel Cohen. I,
Shmuel.
I don't like it. Another thing I don't like about this episode. There weren't really any
You
famous
really
quotes other than like Wyoming, get your foot out of that dog. Like I thought that was a good one, but yeah.
I didn't have one this time. I just didn't feel it. Nothing really reached me there.
Hmm.
I don't
I'm
know.
with you. How does this hold up for time for you? Hold up over time for you?
Um,
How
I
does
mean,
this hold up over time for you?
I guess pretty well, except for the flip. The flip phone seemed very dominant in this episode. Did you feel that
Oh,
way
it
too?
also had an incredible camera.
Yeah, I mean, I dated it a little bit.
Uh huh.
I don't know.
The Motorola Razor. Yeah.
Yeah, I also am not really sure if people still use nanny agencies. I don't know if that's a thing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the internet kind of killed that type of business.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'm not sure why
Although the
someone would want to
internet
give.
also kind of might have reignited that type of business. There's some
Yeah,
weird people on the internet.
yeah.
Um,
I don't
but
know.
yeah, I guess. I mean, what else? I mean, the wall monitor screens were. Well, I mean, even those were
Dated.
like high tech cameras, though. Um,
I agree with you about the Star Tech room, though, that it sort of looked like what a spaceship would have looked like in the 80s, like if they were doing
yeah,
an 80s show. Like it
yeah.
was dated, but
Especially that door.
mhm,
The door was something
yeah.
else.
It was dated for sure, but I don't know. This just really clearly wasn't one of our favorite episodes, but
Yeah,
yeah. I think that wraps it up, right? On
I
the
think so.
next, yeah, that's it. On our next episode, we're going to be discussing season 2, episode 9 called Bounty Hunters.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming in and listening, even if this was only a one pineapple episode. You
Mhm.
you got to get them occasionally, but that means that next time it's not going to be a one pineapple episode.
That's right.
I don't know what that means, but it's probably not going to be two stinkers in a row. So
Exactly.
yeah, check us out on our Facebook group. We know you know a podcast about Psych. We have links in the descriptions for all these as well to make it easy on you.
Mhm.
Also, our Reddit group is the Psych podcast, and we post in the Psych subreddit as well. So you can follow us on there and check us out if you prefer Reddit over Facebook.
Yep. We're also on YouTube, and you can find us on Instagram at the Psych Podcast.
And going forward, I think you'll kind of find us on Twitter as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you do prefer Twitter, I know a lot of people don't use Facebook anymore. So if you do prefer Twitter, you should still be, if you follow us on there, you should still be able to see our notifications for when we drop new episodes, as well
Mhm.
as links to our polls on Reddit for like pineapple ratings for those episodes.
And you can email us at thepsychpodcast@gmail.com. We love your comments and theories and all that good stuff. So
I
send us
love the
an email.
theories and the questions as well as the corrections. If we do
Yes,
get something wrong, I am more than happy to correct it on the air. So let us know.
absolutely.
But we love you guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, you guys have a great week.